Hello from inside the camper, everyone. Today is Tuesday, June 5th, 2018, and welcome to vlog number 100! 100! Woo! Yes! That's right, guys. In late September 2017, I uploaded my very first vlog to this channel. It is 8 months later, and I am uploading vlog 100. In the past 8 months, you guys have seen me have a tire blowout, get kicked out of a Walmart parking lot, have my tent smashed in a windstorm, set my camper on fire and accidentally kill my own cat, and beat a new record of having 2 cops stop and talk to me in a single night. But you have also seen me have a fantastic time. I was at a wonderful convention for caricaturists down in Orlando. Went from downtown Disney to a bunch of high-dollar resorts and gate crashed them, and splattered a pie in low space in the middle of all of that. Went on a whirly fair ride that almost made me throw up, as well as a zip line. Walked a bunch of trails, bought a bunch of video games, went up an incline train, and finally got myself a new kitty cat. Enough of all that. Let's get on with the content of vlog number 100. A few weeks ago, I put out the call and let you guys vote on what you wanted to see in vlog number 100. I gave you guys a few options, and the thing that you decided on was work stories, a talking video where I go over the top 10 most standout, weirdest, most memorable moments that I have had on the road working as a traveling caricature artist. Technically, I am cheating on 2 of these stories because 2 of them comes from when I was working at Six Flags over Georgia, which I was still living at home at the time, so I wasn't really on the road, but I'm including them anyway because they're really pretty good. And I've organized them from 1 to 10, just like David Letterman's top 10, so a little more organized than I normally do. So here we go with number 1. I'm putting this one at number 1 because if you're a regular viewer, you've already seen it, but it was weird enough that I had to include it here. This one is long tongues. In Christmas of 2017, I had a young couple that the mother-in-law insisted on having this drawing done. That was the first weird thing about it, was the mother-in-law wanted this done. And the idea was they would get a drawing together, both of them with their tongues sticking out, because both of them had Gene Simmons' long venom tongues. I'm talking, they could lick the end of their own nose. The guy could pick his own nose with his tongue, like Stitch on Lilo and Stitch. It was freakish. And I asked them a little bit about their story, and it turns out they had been dating for a little while when the girl said, "I've got a little bit of a secret. I've got a freakishly long Gene Simmons-style tongue." And he says, "Oh, really? Let me see." And then proved that his was even longer. So, there you go. It made for a wonderful video. It makes for a wonderful story. Go back to December, Christmas 2017 in my vlog. The video that's entitled Long Tongue, you'll see it's already got almost 1,000 views on it. And it was a weird story, a weird coincidence. And there you go. There's number 1. Number 2 comes from my time at Six Flags over Georgia. Now, they put in, while I was working there, they put in a new ride called the Goliath. It was a big yellow ride that was taller, faster, bigger, more powerful than any ride they had ever had there before. And it was drawing in a lot of guests. It was doing its job, drawing in a lot of guests. And we could ride the rides. At the end of our shift, if we changed out of our uniform shirt, we could go ride any ride that we wanted to before the park closed and we had to leave. So I went to go ride this Goliath. Now, as I was getting off, I looked back because I heard somebody yelling, and I looked back at the car that the people were getting off of, and there was this big, massive, intimidating-looking black guy that was yelling at the people as they were getting on. "You don't want to get on this, dude! You don't want to get... I'm telling you, you guys don't want to get on this!" And I noticed that he had taken off his windbreaker or jacket or something and was actually holding it around his waist. And I realized he had actually peed himself while riding this ride. So I don't know how many new rides at theme parks can boast this claim to have made a big, powerful, intimidating-looking guy pee himself but the Goliath, 6 Flags Over Georgia, can do that. Okay, story number 3. This one actually comes from the festival I just came from, the Banks of the Wabash in Terre Haute, Indiana. Somewhere in the middle of the festival, I had an example on the back wall of Miley Ray Cyrus swinging on a wrecking ball. And I ended up taking that one down because there was so many actual guys, not girls as often, but a lot of guys that would see that drawing and say, draw me on a wrecking ball. And I got tired of doing it after a while. But this time, I had a guy that said, draw my wife on the wrecking ball, and I've got a picture of a new puppy that we just got. It was like a pit bull puppy. So I want you to draw the pit bull puppy on the wrecking ball behind her, biting her on the butt as she's swinging on the wrecking ball. I drew it. It's got to be one of the weirdest requests I've ever had, but there you go. Draw my wife on a wrecking ball with our new puppy right behind her, biting her on the butt. Okay, story number 4, the trick marker. Now, this one didn't happen to me personally. I was just there at the time. The person that it happened to, his name is Jeff, and he was working on the same crew as me. We were working for somebody named Tim Reed at a fair called the Peanut Festival, and I believe it's Alberta, Alabama. This was either 2015 or 16. But Jeff, on Facebook, he's also known as Jer Art Thor, if you guys want to look him up. But he is one of the most instinctual artists that I have ever seen. It's like he just places the marker on the paper and just starts. He doesn't do an outline. He doesn't do anything. It just starts, and it's like the drawing just magically appears. It's a lot like the beginning of those Bob Ross videos when the paintbrush just waves over the canvas and the painting just appears like a trick. But it's like that, but in real life. So he was drawing out there, and this mom with her daughter was thinking about getting a drawing. She was watching it being done, and he's listening to her over one shoulder. So he hears this woman tell her daughter, he ain't no kind of artist, he just got a trick marker. And he just kind of goes, he just laughs to himself like she's making a joke. But then a few seconds later, she says it again in a serious tone. No, he ain't no kind of artist. He just got a trick marker. And she just takes her daughter and walks off and does not get a drawing, just completely decides against the drawing. Because she is just convinced by looking at it, there's no way that kind of ability could be in a human. It has to be a trick. So, there we go. That's story number 4, the trick marker. All right, story number 5, the baby daddy. This one happened to me at the Central Florida Fair in Orlando, 2016. I was in the middle of a drawing, and this was with a woman that had, I want to say, 3 to 4 kids, and I can't remember. She was getting her drawing with like 2 or 3 of the kids. It kind of felt like there was at least 1 or 2 of them that she was just kind of babysitting. The ones that were hers, she was getting a drawing with. So this was kind of a high-dollar drawing. And so she's getting her drawing done when her phone rings, and she answers the phone in the middle of the drawing, which wasn't a big deal because she was talking on her phone like this so I could still see her face. Not a big deal. But it turns out the call that she was receiving was from her baby daddy that was in prison. And apparently he hadn't called her in a while. I guess he was having a hard time getting phone time to call out of prison. And she took this opportunity to let him know that she was pregnant again. This was all happening in real time in front of me while I was doing the drawing. This life-changing conversation with the father of maybe 1 or 2 of her kids that she already had was finding out that she was pregnant with another child that apparently was not his because he was in prison. I don't know if they had conjugal visits. I doubt it because it sounded very positive to me that she was saying, I'm pregnant and it ain't yours. And, yeah, and it was this whole, well, what'd you expect me to do? You're in prison. I'm out here living my life. What do you expect from me? And the whole nonchalantness of it really struck me as odd because it wasn't like she was getting worked up about it. She wasn't raising her voice. She wasn't getting high-pitched about it. She wasn't even seemed like she get very excited about it. It was like she was on the phone just telling someone about a new potted plant that she had just put in her window. It was just, what'd you expect me to do? I'm pregnant, and it ain't yours. Wow. That was a look into a different kind of life than I have ever lived. And I can't say that I liked it. But she paid for the drawing. It was a good drawing, and it makes for a good story. Okay, story number 6. The most unprofessional behavior I have ever seen. Now, this one is actually a little stressful for me to even talk about. I still have not totally figured out what happened there. Okay, this happened at, once again, the Orlando Fair, the Central Florida Fair in Orlando, 2017. I was working, we had 2 booths at the time, and I was working the better one, the one that had more traffic closer to the entrance, alongside another artist. And we were both about the same age. We both had facial hair. We were both casually dressed. He had t-shirt and shorts. I had t-shirt and jeans. And we were both white. So we're pretty similar. But for hours that day, and it was through the middle of the day, so it was a little slow, but for hours, the guest kept walking up, and you want to talk to the guests. If they come up, they look a little interested, you want to talk to them. A lot of times they'll come up and just immediately start talking to you. How much is this? That kind of thing. But guest after guest, after group, kept coming up, looking at the 2 of us, and going to him. Sometimes, if I was even, they came up from my side, they would even step around me and talk to him. And I could not figure out what I was doing differently. I was looking at our posture, our expression, our look, everything, and I was just like, why do they keep going to him? Just stepping around me and going directly to him. And I could not figure it out. It was eating at me. It was boggling my mind. And when you're working on a crew like that, the boss looks at your numbers. So if you've got something weird going on, where the other person is making a lot more money than you, then that means less work opportunity for you because your reputation starts going down in the eyes of the boss. So I wanted to figure this out. I'm not real socially aware. I've actually been accused of having a mild form of Asperger's a few times because I just don't have the same social instincts as people. I'm obsessing over this. What is going on? What am I missing? And so I figured the best way to get a question answered would be to ask the question. So the next group that came up, there was 3 of them, and again, they stepped around me and went to the other person. And one person was talking to that artist. He had 2 other people with this person, just kind of hanging there, waiting for the questions to be answered, and I saw my opportunity, and so I asked one of them, I said, how come you guys automatically went to him? And as soon as I said that, I got this kind of look, this quick little eyebrow twitch and this look from the other artist, like, how dare you ask that? And so I just went quiet. I was just like, oh, I stepped over some kind of line. So he finished with the guest. I think he drew their picture, and they walked away. And as soon as they were out of earshot, this guy lit into me and let me know that that was one of the most unprofessional things he had ever seen in his life. Don't you ever ask a guest why they didn't come to you, why they went to that other person, they didn't come to you. Don't you ever ask them that question. If they had gotten scared off and not spent money, me and you would have had a problem. And, I mean, he was furious at me. And I'm sure later he probably, because this guy was a talker, he probably went to everybody else in the crew and said, you would not believe this unprofessional thing that Ashley did, asking this guest why they stepped around him and came to me instead. What? That was the most unprofessional thing. And, I've let a lot of time go past, and I've tried to digest this, and I still, even to this day, even speaking to you, I do not understand what was so bad about asking that question. I mean, you never find answers if you never ask questions. And I really wanted to know. I still do not know why people kept stepping around me and going to him that day. I looked at my fly, I looked at all my clothes, there was no stains. We were about similarly dressed. We both had facial hair about the same age. I still can't figure it out. I don't know what it was. I do not know what it was, and I do not understand what the big deal was about asking. As just a little bit of consolation, though, that same artist was fired later that year because of ethical reasons. So that's a little bit of consolation to me. But I'm going to put that question out to you guys, because maybe somebody's got some kind of answer. First off, why do you think that everybody was going to him? And second of all, why was it so bad that I asked the question? So there you go. You guys, please answer that in the comments. All right, story number 7, the crazy taxi driver in Asheville, North Carolina. Woo, okay. This was at the end of a big fair in Asheville, North Carolina, and the whole crew piled into the boss's nice big diesel truck, and we were headed to an all-night diner, because that's really the only kind of place that's open after the fair is closed, to celebrate the ending of the fair. And driving through downtown Asheville, there's a lot of roads that are very narrow, and so we were in one lane with a taxi right next to us in the right-hand turning lane. And so we went straight, and this taxi driver, instead of turning right in that right-hand turning lane like he was supposed to, instead decided to go straight as well. And so the only way that he could go straight from a right-hand turning lane would be to merge right into our lane. And for some reason, he was trying to merge right into the side of the truck. And he couldn't, of course, because the truck is there. So he had to brake and get in behind the truck, which he did not like having to do. For some reason, he really thought that we had wronged him and purposely blocked him from going straight. I was there. I was looking out the window the whole time, and I don't understand exactly why he got that idea in his head, but he was convinced we had blocked him from going straight to that intersection. And so, instead of just honking at us and flipping us off and going on his way, instead he gets in right behind us and follows us all the way to the parking lot of the restaurant. And as Tim, the driver, was backing his truck into a parking spot, he comes in and drives his taxi cab right up to the side of Tim's truck as he's backing in. I mean, just a few inches away, gets out and starts yelling and blessing Tim out right there in the parking lot. And Tim is actually very cool under stress. I mean, he's worked a lot of fairs and stuff where there's been fights break out. A lot of stuff has happened to him. So having a single taxi driver mad at him is not a big deal. So he was just stayed cool during the whole thing. We were at our destination anyway, so we all started getting out. And he's still just blessing us away, goes over and looks at the tag, and notices that Tim was from Florida, and even calls him a Floridiot, which was kind of fun, kind of funny to hear coming from somebody that was so pink-faced angry. Yeah, Floridiot! And so while he's doing this and just angrily, one of our artists goes over to look into the cab to see if he's maybe got some passengers in there, and he had a couple of college students that were coming home from a little get-together, and they looked scared. And so our artist looked in the window and said, you guys, I think he might be on something or drunk or something. And so they got out and refused to get back into the cab. That's how weird this guy was, that even the people riding in the back of the car with him thought, man, this guy is losing it. Because they were back there. They knew that he was not supposed to be able to go straight from this lane. And they refused to get back into the cab. So we're all of us standing there. His riders, his fare was standing there, not getting back in the cab. All three of us artists and the driver. And we're just looking at him. And one of us calls the police. The police finally get there. He separates the groups, goes over, talks to the cab driver, and then goes over and talks to us, gets the full story, and then basically just tells the cab driver, okay, we're getting another police officer out here to drive these college students home because they don't want to ride with you anymore. And you need to cool it, and gave him a warning and let him go. And then we went on in and had our meal. That was the weirdest road rage interaction that I have ever had with someone. I mean, the guy wasn't drunk. He was just a very angry person. And he was just going nuts. Like, almost 1 o'clock in the morning in the middle of Asheville. What really capped off that whole incident was that about an hour later, when we had finished our meal and we were leaving, getting back on the ramp to go up into the highway, who came the opposite direction, passing us, but the same exact taxi driver. And so we were able to give him our quick little victory wave as he went on by, and we got that quick little recognition look like, oh, those are the guys that gave me a warning from the cops. Okay, story number 8, puppies for sale. Okay, this is another story that came from the Banks of the Wabash Festival. This one was last year, though. That aisle that's in between, like, where I was and the t-shirt guys or the hot tub guys, last year, sometime in the middle of, I think it was a Friday, this guy just shows up and had a puppy in each hand and walked right down the middle aisle, showing them to people and trying to get people to buy them. He did not pay for a spot, did not talk to any of the organizers, didn't do anything, just showed up with puppies in both hands. Didn't even have them in a box. Just showed up with puppies. Puppies for sale. And of course he's gathering a group because everybody loves puppies. And started blocking the front of, like, the wood carper right next to me. He was the one that really reported it because they were blocking the front of his booth. So we went and got the organizer and had him escorted on out. But I have never seen anything that random before. Just show up. No talk to the organizers, nothing. Just show up, puppy in each hand, trying to sell them. That happened. Okay, getting close to the end. Story number 9, the monk that blessed the drawing. Now this one happened actually in Nashville, Tennessee, 2014 or 15. This was in January, one of the cold months, so I wanted a job that was indoors, and this was before I had started spending the first quarter down in Florida, so I was kind of scrambling, trying to find something, and this was the this was the flea market grounds in the middle of Nashville, Tennessee, indoors. It's actually very nice flea market grounds. They even have their own showers. But anyway, somewhere on the middle of the second day, I think it was, somebody from another building came over, and this guy was a Eastern monk, right? He dealt in, I don't know the whole terms of it, but like the yin and yang, the qi, the Chinese, Japanese monk stuff, chakras, whatever. I don't know what it is. But he wanted to get his drawing done. So I drew him, and he took a look at the drawing and said, okay, now I'm going to bless it. And he actually puts his hands over it and closes his eyes like this. Like he's imbuing the drawing with some kind of energy. Which I don't even know why you would even want to. It's a drawing. You look at it. You hang it on a wall. Why would you want... Anyway. So, he gets done blessing the drawing, and then he tells me to put my hand over it and see if I feel any kind of energy coming from it. And I did, and I did not. So, and the funniest thing about it was this guy was just as white and pasty as I am. And he didn't even have any kind of Eastern accent or any kind of tell in the way that he dressed or act that made it even seem as though he had spent any kind of time over in the East. So, I don't know, it really felt very, very strange. Very, like, this guy was really creepy. Creepy, that's the best way to describe this guy. And maybe a scammer. He was saying that he has students of his monk practices all over the world, and if they call him with a problem, he will join them in some kind of astral plane to help them out and give them energy. There you go, guys. That's story number 9. I had a white Eastern monk bless the drawing in Nashville, Tennessee. Okay, last one, number 10. Porky's dead. This one happened at Six Flags over Georgia. Once again, Six Flags over Georgia. This was when I was working at the caricature booth that's right by what was then called the Monster Plantation. I think they've changed the name since then. The ride is still the same. Okay, so our booth was facing right towards the entrance of Kittyland. So we got to see a lot of the costume characters as they came from the dressing area and went in to go interact with the kids in Kittyland. And one day, it was Porky Pig was done with his shift, or just needed a break, and was coming out of the entrance and couldn't make it all the way back to the dressing room. He keeled over, passed out right there at the entrance. And we looked over and saw this group of kids, and one of them yells, "Porky's dead!" And Porky Pig was laid out on the ground. And what was really odd was that, like, they always have the costume characters walk with another employee because the vision is so limited. They have to have somebody kind of guide them a little bit. And this person that was with Porky was just kind of looking at him on the ground, didn't know what to do. I think there was some kind of like law in the books that you can't remove a part of the costume in the visual area as the guest. Which, you know, I think after somebody has passed out, some of those rules are a little bit null, right? But this person was just looking at Porky just laying there. And so it was actually our boss at the time. His name was Jeremy Townsend, or Jert, as he's known around Caricarurist. He'll still talk about this sometimes, because to him it was one of the funniest things too. He actually had to go across the aisle and go over to them and say, "You guys need to take his helmet off, or his head off." So Porky had his head taken off, and all the kids are just, "There's a person under there," and they had to pour water on him and revive this poor employee. And I'm telling you guys, Georgia summers, it gets up into the 90s. It really is kind of a cruel thing to even make employees get in those big foam costumes and walk around out there anyway. So there you go. That's number 10. Porky's dead. And so that is it. That is all 10. I hope you guys have enjoyed these work stories. Please don't forget to hit that like button. Leave comments, leave questions, leave suggestions. You know, I wanted to mention that at the end of the Turkey Run State Park vlog that I did, somebody mentioned that I really needed to get a GoPro. And so I did a quick YouTube search about Turkey Run, and I found that there were some people that had done Trail 3 with a GoPro. Now, the editing on their video was terrible. The sound was terrible. But the video was beautiful. So I'm starting to realize from this suggestion that I really need a GoPro, because I plan on doing stuff like Cloudland Canyon. Kelvin Nugan suggested I do Providence Canyon, the Appalachian Trail. These kinds of things only look really good with a GoPro, and I've learned that now, so I need to get myself a GoPro. But once again, guys, I can't justify spending the money on this kind of equipment with only 140 subscribers. Now, I'm going to keep making videos either way, because I'm making them partly for myself, for posterity's sake, and because they're fun and they don't take a whole lot of work. I'm going to be out there anyway. So I'm going to keep making the videos, but if you guys want to see better videos, then I need more subscribers. So bring me some more subscribers. Share this stuff around your Instagram, your Twitter, your whatever other stuff people are using nowadays, your Facebook, and bring me some more subscribers. I love you guys. Please don't forget to leave comments, questions, and suggestions. And subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to hit that bell icon so that you'll start receiving notifications. I love you guys very much, and I will see you again in the next vlog.